guys, it's Monica with Klein Knits, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute hat. This hat is awesome for beginners, so if you've never knit a hat before, you can make this hat. It's also awesome if you've been knitting for a while, because I literally sat down and knit this in an hour. So I am calling this my sit and knit hat because it's so easy. The techniques that I use throughout this video are the long tail cast on, knitting and purling for the brim, and then some decreases at the top. I do go through these techniques pretty slowly on my videos, but if you take some time to look at how other knitters work up those kinds of stitches, it's always helpful when you're learning. The reason I think this hat is so cute and a little bit different from other beginner knitter like hats that I've seen on YouTube is because I take the time to show you this deliberate shaping at the top. Sometimes when you knit a hat and you're starting off, the pattern will just say, okay, knit a brim and then just knit a lot and then cinch it up, without actually taking the time to show you how to do some nice decreases. And these decreases will make a huge difference when you're actually wearing the hat, and you'll see that it just sits a lot nicer when you take the time to actually do these kinds of decreases. So materials that you'll need, you will need some category 6 or bulky weight yarn. I used Wool & the Gang's Crazy Sexy Wool in the color Cinnamon. It is a little bit pricier though, so if you're just starting off, I would recommend like a Lion brand Thick and Quick or something along those lines. These are my knitting needles. I have these in my Chiagu interchangeable knitting needle set. If you're just starting off, I don't really think you need to get a whole interchangeable knitting needle set. I think you can just kind of start off with getting a pair of knitting needles on Amazon. These are a size 13 or 9mm with a 14-inch cable. If you are on the hunt on Amazon to look for some new knitting needles, I would recommend bamboo knitting needles because the material is a little bit stickier, so your stitches, you don't have to worry about your stitches gliding around when you go to pick them up and knit and purl. So yeah. Other things that you'll need, you will need a couple of stitch markers. I've got this blue one here. I like using blue stitch markers for my beginning of rounds because blue starts with the letter B and so does the word beginning, but that just might be a dorky thing that I do. Oops. You'll also need a couple of different colors for your decreases. So I have 3 little green stitch markers that I use so that when I come up to them in my work, I know that I'm about to decrease. So they're just kind of some visual cues. So yeah, if you don't have stitch markers, no worries. You can just get a piece of scrap yarn and use that as your stitch marker. Anything will work. I've used in like dire emergencies, I've used like my rings. Yeah, my wedding rings. I've also used like a ponytail holder. So you can really get creative with your stitch markers. You don't have to worry about that, but on Amazon they are really cheap. You will also need a tapestry needle. I got this on Amazon too actually, and they came in this cool tube, and I don't even know what sizes are in here. Whoa, there's a lot of different sizes. So like the eye are all different sizes. Anything where you can just weave in your bulky weight yarn, which is kind of hard to do, will work, but this is just what you use to cinch up your hat and also to weave in your ends. And then you'll also need some scissors. I also got these on Amazon. Wow. Scissors are great because I don't like really using my craft scissors, like my big ones, because when I'm out in public and I'm knitting, it's concerning when you see someone pull out their large scissors and snip an end. So these are kind of discreet and they're super cheap on Amazon. I think they were like 10 bucks and they're really cute. So, all right, I think that's all you need to get started with your sit and knit hat. Okay. So the way I knit this hat, the first thing you want to do is cast on, and this is called a long tail cast on, and the first
that's pretty much the first part of any project that you cast on. There are different ways to cast on. This is probably the easiest. It's really just a guessing game. So I cast on 44 stitches for this hat. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again. More than you need than not enough, like in anything with life. So that's how you would approximate how much yarn you need. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be casting on 44 stitches. This you want to make sure that the ball of yarn, which is closest, the yarn that you're going to be pulling from, that's called your working yarn, and you want that near you. So you're going to want that, at least when you're casting on, to always, the working yarn to be in front, okay? And the first thing you're gonna do is create a slip knot. Now there's a lot of videos out there to how to create a slip knot. The way I like to do it is I just kind of come under with my thumb. I twist the end yarn, the end yarn, over the working yarn like that. And then I pull the end yarn again through the loop, and that creates a slip knot. Okay, I'll show that one more time, but like I said, there's a ton of videos. I'm gonna pull the end yarn over the working yarn. So you've got this loop, and then you're gonna go through your loop and pull out the end strand through it, okay? And what that allows for is to create a knot that undoes itself if you pull on it. So that's just called a slip knot. It's usually how you start any of your projects. And you're gonna put your needle through. Yay, you've cast on 1 stitch. Congratulations, that's a big deal. Okay, so you are going to take your index finger and your thumb, and you're gonna come in between. You're gonna hold it with the rest of your, like these 2 strands underneath. You're gonna hold it at the bottom, and you're gonna insert your thumb and your index finger through. That's step 1. Okay, now you are going to take, and there are lots of videos too on how to cast on, so if you don't get it from this video, that's fine. I'm not offended. Go and check out some other great tutorials. So you're going to take the tip of your needle, and you're going to go under your thumb, like that. Then you're going to take your needle again and go under your index finger. Then you're gonna pull through the loop on your thumb. Okay? It takes a couple of times to get it, but once you got it, you're like in a rhythm and you can keep going. Okay, so you're going to take your needle, go under your thumb, go under your index finger, pull through the loop on your thumb. Okay? Again, position. Take the needle, go under your thumb, go under your index finger, pull through the loop on your thumb. Okay, I've cast on 44. This end is a little bit smaller than I would like, but that's why it's always good to overestimate. I did have enough, so that's fine. Okay, here's the next big part to starting your project. I've got my working yarn, right? The working yarn, which is the yarn coming from the ball over here, on my right side because I am an English knitter. So I've got it on the right side. It's always gonna be on my right side, okay? But anyway, like I said, we're about to start, and now you know where your end is when you knit all the way around and you get to this blue marker. Oh, I'm back to my beginning, and I'm about to start a new round, okay? So for this pattern, the first thing that you are going to do is knit, then purl all the way around. So this is called a 1x1 rib, and I like to grab my yarn with my right hand and put it underneath a couple of times, wrap it a couple of times, my ring finger and pinky, and then kind of come back up with my index finger holding the yarn. Doesn't matter how you tension the yarn. I've seen a lot of people do different things. It really doesn't matter. This is just the way that I like to tension my yarn, and this is something that you'll figure out as you go along. But at the end of the day, the goal, right? The goal is to have your index finger kind of under the working yarn so that you can wrap it around like that. So to knit, you're going to wrap around your right needle and then push through like that and off your left needle to your right needle. So that is a knit. To purl, and like I said, on YouTube, there are endless resources. I might make a different knitting and purling video, but for the purposes of this video, we're just trying to get through the pattern, right? So to purl, you insert you want to bring your yarn in front, your working yarn in front. That's very important for purling. Insert it into the front loop like this. And then very similarly, you're going to wrap it around and pull through. Okay, we're back to knitting, which means my yarn has to go in the back. And it's going to go, again, behind like this. And you're going to wrap it around. And then to purl, you got to bring your yarn in front first. Very important, purling in front. Push it through to cross in front through that stitch. Wrap around. Kind of push your way back with this loop onto your right and pull off. So when you're doing it fast, like I said, your hands start to take over, but it will take a little bit of practice to get that. But that's basically how you join in the round, so that's an accomplishment, and that's how you knit and purl. And you're just going to knit and purl all the way around till you get back to the beginning. And you're always going to end on a purl. So if you're ending on a knit, then you might have missed something. So make sure you end on a purl. Here I am again at the beginning, and I'm just going to glide my stitch marker over and knit to secure the neck, to secure it in there. Kind of want to pull so there's not a weird gap. I also like to pull the end just so that everything is in the round and I'm sure about it. So if we look at our hat here, you can tell that as you continue to knit and purl, you're going to have this effect where your purl stitches are going to be bumpy and your knit stitches are going to kind of be indented. So I know that I'm on a purl because it almost looks like this guy's wearing a scarf. So I know I have to bring my yarn in front and purl. I know that I'm about to knit because I can see this little V, which is this knit stitch. So you don't have to, in your mind, think knit, purl, knit, purl. You can use these visual cues and just work in the pattern is what we like to call it. So this is going to be purl because he's got a scarf on. This is going to be knit because he has a V on. I don't know. So as you continue, you're going to see that these knit stitches or these V stitches are going to kind of show up. You see? These knit. Okay. So you are going to do that for 6 rounds. You're just gonna knit and purl in the round. And that's probably gonna be the hardest part of this hat. So if you got this down, then that's great. You are on your way to being a pro. So like I said, you're just gonna knit for 6 rounds, knit and purl, and that's what's gonna create this brim part of your hat, like that. And then when you get to the top, when you get to the end of that, you can see that all of this is stockinette, right? Which means that everything is knit. In the round, we don't have to worry about, you know, when you're knitting flat, you have to knit on the knit side, knit, and then when you're on the purl side, which looks like this is the purl side, or the wrong side, you'd have to purl to keep the knit going. Well, in the round, what's so great is that you don't have to switch to a round of all knit and then a round of all purl to keep the stockinette effect. In the round, you just knit, and it stays stockinette-ish. So it's really great. It's the easiest way to achieve that look. So I'm probably just going for the sample to knit another 2 rounds so you get the idea. And then we're just gonna move on to the knit section. But you continue on with your 6 rounds of ribbing, and then yeah, we'll be ready to knit. All right, so for the purposes of this sample, I've only knit 2 rounds of ribbing, just so that I have enough yarn to show you how I achieve the rest of this hat. But you, like I said, would continue on for 6 rounds. So it gets pretty easy from here on out. Now all you're going to be doing is knitting in the round. So you're just gonna knit. So instead of knitting and purling, you are just going to keep on knitting. And you'll see that when you're only doing one kind of stitch, this will fly because you don't have to switch back and forth and move your yarn to the back or to the front. You just always keep it in the back and you knit. Alright, so now is when things get a little bit fun. So you're going to pull out some more stitch markers here. So you've got your beginning one, which is going to count as a stitch marker. It's fine. But we have 44 stitches right now on our needles. This will be after you've worked 22 rounds, okay? So this is where we are right now. So you are going to work another round of knitting, but this is going to be for your marker placement. So you're going to knit 11, then place a marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? 11. Place a marker. Then do that again. 11. 1, 2. And this should also be 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep. Okay, great. And knit to the beginning again. righty. So move this over. And now is where we do the decreases. So you are going to knit up until 3 before your marker. Okay, here I am 3 before the first marker, and the first thing I'm going to do is slip as if to purl off onto my right, and then I'm going to knit 2 together. Okay, that's written out as N2 and then the number 2, so N number 2 TOG. That just means knit 2 together, which just means I'm just going to go into, like I would knit, but on this one, and knit them together. Kind of force your way in there. Wrap around. And now, instead of bringing off 1 stitch, I'm bringing off 2, okay? Then I'm going to take the one that I slipped, and I'm going to pass it over. So you just pass it over your knit 2 together stitch like that. Great. And you move over your marker and keep going. And you do the same thing when you get to the next marker. So 3 before your next marker. One, two, three. Okay, I'm going to pass or slip the first stitch as if to purl onto my right needle, and then I'm going to knit 2 together by coming under the needle or the stitch that is 1, 2 away from me, and I'm just going to come in under both, shimmy on in there, knit off like that, and pass back over the one I slipped. So what you're doing is you are decreasing so you can start getting that cool shape for the crown of your head. And you're going to keep doing the same thing. Two, 3 before, I'm going to slip as if to purl, knit 2 together, and I'm going to pass over the slipped one and continue. And for the purposes of this pattern, yes, your beginning marker does count. So 3 before the beginning of the round as well. If you want an even shape. To slip purlwise, then I'm going to knit 2 together, pass it back over, and we are back to the beginning. Okay, so let's take a look at what happened here. I'm just going to knit the first one to kind of secure it. Okay, so what happened is you just decreased. So remember how we had 44 before? Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. You have successfully decreased by 8 stitches this round, okay? And that's because at each stop, we're decreasing by 2. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. okay? So you're gonna know every 9 is where your marker is coming in. I think when I was fixing my needle, this guy came off, so I have to, when I get to 9, I'm gonna put him back on. But yeah, so this is kind of the way that you're going to continue for your decreases, which are these. You can kind of see where your decreases are here. But what I'm doing is I'm decreasing, then I'm knitting around, and then I'm decreasing again. You see? So I'm going to make a total of 3 decreases. You can see them here, 1, 2, 3, which means it's gonna get really tight on your needles. So again, you're gonna decrease around, you're gonna knit in between, decrease, knit in between, decrease, knit in between. So let's just knit the first round first. Knit, 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 knit. And similar to what you do when you get to your beginning of round marker, when you're knitting in the round, you just kind of pass this marker over and you keep going. Okay, so since I have knit around, that means that the next round is going to be a decrease round. It's the same exact thing, so you're going to knit until 3 before the marker. And you're going to do the same decrease, so pass purlwise, knit 2 together, bring this guy back, over, okay, and then pass your stitch marker and continue. So as you're knitting, what you're going to find is it's going to get really, really tight. So the way to avoid that is what I slip into, which is called this magic loop method. Again, all of these techniques are probably way better explained by other professionals in this arena, but the magic loop method basically means you're going to have this starting position. So your working yarn is in the back here, like it would be. You have these 2 parallels, so you have your left needle in front, your right needle in the back, okay? So you're always going to be taking from the back. So now you've given yourself enough slack, and you're gonna make sure that this yarn, you're gonna make sure this yarn's out in, like here, twist that, out in the, not inside, because then you're like, how am I gonna get this out? So make sure it's on the outside of that needle. And now what's happening is you're gonna have enough slack where it's not gonna feel as tight anymore, and you can keep knitting as normal, and you kind of pull the first one so it doesn't make that weird gap. You're gonna knit as normal around. So that's magic loop. You use this when things get tight, or in instances where you might need to use double pointed needles. You can always replace it with this magic loop method. And again, it's the same exact thing. Nothing really changes in terms of the pattern. So you're gonna purlwise, knit 2 together, pass it back over, and continue. have 20 stitches on my needles now, and it's time for me to cinch it up because I'm ready to be done with this hat. So this means that I've done all my decreases, and now I am ready to close it at the top. Okay? You're gonna get a tapestry needle. Now it has to be a little bit bigger so that it can support the size here. And you're going to cut an end that's long enough for your hat. Now the end won't be as long as when we started, right? Because we've decreased, we've decreased a lot. So the slack you'll need won't be that much. So you kind of cut it off. You're going to take off your beginning of round marker, and you're going to weave in the end through your tapestry needle. Like that. Okay, now that I've weaved in the end of my tapestry needle, what I'm going to do is very similar to, you know, how we would slip purlwise. I'm going to come under in the front with my tapestry needle, and as I'm going, kind of pushing off. And I'm telling the stitches that it's okay, they're still safe, and they can land on the the yarn instead of the cable and still be secure. Now it's, like I said, it's a little bit tight, so you're going to want to kind of maneuver your yarn so that you can always scrunch it towards you, like this. When you get to a marker, just take it off, keep going. I gave myself more than enough slack. All right. So now your stitches are no longer on their needles. Now they are on this yarn, and you're going to cinch it up. Just pull, 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 like this. When you have a real hat, this will look a little bit better, but you can kind of see how all of these areas come together to make this like square kind of a shape, so that when you flip it inside out to do your ends, I like to just sew it flat like this, so that this, it's sort of like a circle. So I'm going to fold the circle in half so it's almost square shaped, and I'm just going to go back and forth, kind of cinching it up. There's no rhyme or reason. I am not a good sewer at all, but this is just kind of how that works. And this is the secret to getting that shape at the top. Okay, then you're gonna kind of poke it back through to the front. And now what you can see is you've created that square effect at the top. You see that? And then what I like to do is just kind of snip it. fuzzy, sorry. And just kind of deliberately go through, make an effort to weave in the ends. Like that. Come back through the inside out of the hat and continue weaving in. So then snip off when you are done weaving in the ends. Like that. So you look at the top of your hat, which we can look at this one instead, you can see that you'll have this like nice sectioned off area at the top. So this is kind of the top. And it'll be a little bit smaller because I only did 2 decreases and the pattern calls for 3 decreases. So you'll see how that makes a difference as well. Again, this was just a sample. And then you also want to always make sure that you weave in the end that you started with as well, and that'll make it look really nice. So yeah, that is what I would like to call the sit and knit hat. Reason being is I did a time lapse where I literally just sat down and knit this bad boy in no time flat. It's really not that bad. This is a project though that you can come back to because it is stockinette. So if you want to take a break at all, you can always stop and then, you know, take a break. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this pattern. Thanks, guys.